The anime story begins with a battle between two great houses, waving their banners on either side. However, both sides settle to a truce, because a greater threat is about to destroy the world as they know it. Right now, the continent of ancient Japan is currently facing a plague against the evil giant demonic dragon, whose name is Zot. This dragon is like no other, and no one has ever been powerful enough to stop it from doing whatever the hell it likes. Every time this dragon awakens, it burns entire towns and villages to the ground, but no one has ever been strong enough to delay these attacks, so people can have enough time to evacuate the area, as he's so overpowered, costing millions of civilian lives each time he awakens. However, in this world there are two famous mages who people depend on, and together they also birthed a baby boy named Hero. One night when all the fighting stopped, these two mages told everyone that they need to seal the dragon tonight before it's too late. So all the soldiers and cloaked men stood together, waiting for the dragon Zot to appear and finally seal him for good. Once the purple moon was out, we see Hero's mother, a famous witch, known for her incredible swordsmanship and her two juicy bouncy balloons. She purposely set herself up as bait, pretending to sacrifice herself to attract the dragon Zot, as it was told the legendary Zot also loves juicy jugs just as much as we do. When she starts screaming out for help, two claws raise from the ground and a giant shadow forms around the ritual, and Zot finally awakens again. When he does, he lets out a giant roar and proceeds to attack Hero's mother, but at this moment she quickly uses a spell, unleashing herself and puts the chains onto the dragon and pulls out her sword. At this moment, Hero's father, named Bairo, transforms from one of the soldiers into his true form and begins the sealing ceremony. Together they start the sealing process, forming giant protective bubbles around the beast. However, during the process, Bairo is struck by an arrow in his back, causing him to fall and bleed out. However, he insists that they both continue the sealing ceremony, or the dragon will never answer for his crimes and Zot's flames will destroy all souls and devour the land. However, Zot breaks out of the sealing magic and calls Bairo a pathetic noob, and proceeds to attack his son Hero. But while Zot tries to attack, his father uses a spell with his hand, saving the boy, but this causes the boy and the dragon to have a permanent scar on their chest, and right after the dragon uses its flames to destroy the entire ceremony, and everything gets blasted into smithereens, leaving only Hero alive because of his father's protective spell. Many years go by, and Hero has now grown up a bit and seeks revenge against all who betrayed his father, and also desires to kill the dragon that wiped out his family. Hero is seen wandering about in different areas, cloaked up and carrying a giant sword on his back. He keeps walking until he arrives at a new city where everyone is checked by the guards before entering. However, the guard was shocked upon looking into Hero's eyes and lets him enter without any problems. And he must know it was the son of Bairo. He wanders around the town trying to spot anything unusual, and he can see different mysterious creatures and strange foods for sale, until the people in the area spot a small girl who announces the arrival of a lord named Nambaku. She summons Nambaku and he arrives on a chariot surrounded by many guards and soldiers. Nambaku starts throwing copper coins at the people and calls them all worthless, smelly peasants and to bow before him immediately. All the villagers pick up the coins and start fighting over them, and one of them falls next to Hero. And Hero tries picking it up, but one of the city boy thieves, named Peshet, steals it from Hero. But the group of city boys tell Peshet not to take Nambaku's money, as he's spreading money that he had taken from them. One of the boys noticed that the Lord Nambaku has the Grand Troa in his chariot, and the Troa will grant any wish you want, and will supply all the money and food they will ever need and will never be poor again. However, the leader tells them all to forget it, as it's impossible to steal the Grand Troa, and they explain how they need to leave now, otherwise the boss will get angry. However, Peshet stays behind and can't help himself after seeing the Grand Troa and climbs onto the chariot, but Lord Nambaku notices. After, Hero wonders some more and he sees a man on the side of the street claiming he has got a rare crest which descended from the hero who defeated the evil dragon. But the man tells a twisted version of the story, as Hero knows exactly what happened that day. But the crest he was holding is real, after one of the boys from the street thieves gang snatches it out of the man's hand and runs away. But the merchant had a giant bodyguard who grabs the boy and raises him into the air. The merchant tells the big bodyguard to punch him 3 times and take the crest back, but before they could, Hero appeared just in time and puts his massive blade right against his ugly ogre face, and told the bodyguard that the only time he ever draws for his sword is when he really means it. Hero tells the merchant he will pay for the crest, and after throws the guy a gold coin for the troubles, and the coin was worth double for what he was asking. After they let the boy go, and the merchant thanks Hiro for the kind gesture. However, the boy tells Hiro that he just ruined his plan, as he was trying to get the bodyguard to hold him up and scold him for taking the crest so that the other street thieves boys could steal the merchant's items from the shop and their wallets. So Hiro just cost them a fortune by trying to be the nice guy. Right then, the boy steals the crest out of Hiro's hands and bolts off down the street and runs away with his street friends. Later on, the boys go back to their secret city hideout and talk about Hiro being a jerk and ruining their plunder. However, Hiro sneaks inside their base and takes back the crest, claiming it belongs to him, and none of them have no idea how valuable this is and what it means to him. Hiro asks the boy who stole it what his name was, and he introduces himself as Tomet. The other boys call Hiro a dumb moron and said that what they steal still belongs to them. So Hiro runs away, and all the boys start chasing him on top of the rooftops and through alleyways. Meanwhile, another mysterious man named Juru, a big scary Jiza with scars across his face, was also in the market and was spying around and asking strangers if they have seen a boy with a big sword named Hiro, with a drawing of the protagonist on a piece of paper. But no one in the market recalls seeing this boy. However, Juru's companion tells Juru that he's stolen too much from them already, and that this is the first town Hiro would most likely come to visit first. In a grand mansion across town, Nanbuko hosts a lavish dinner for his guests. Despite his facade as a mere merchant, Nanbuko's true colors emerge as he pressures his guests into selling their prized magic items. Concerns rise among the city's elite as they fear the repercussions of rising prices and potential unrest. Tensions escalate when a clumsy servant, who had greeted Nanbuko earlier, accidentally shatters a rare jar. The lord of the city fumes at the loss, but before he can voice his frustration, Nanbuko's armed guards swiftly intervene, their swords drawn, ready to enforce their master's will. As tensions rise in the mansion, the girl unveils the Grand Troa, suggesting a partnership with Nanbuko. Tempted by the offer yet wary of his reputation, the man hesitates. Suddenly, a miniature dragon-like creature swoops in, snatching the crystal with its tongue. The girl, quick to react, uses her magic to open the ceiling, causing both the creature and Peshate to tumble down from above. The next morning, Peshate finds himself bound in the city square, facing execution. Like clockwork, Hiro intervenes, halting the execution with practiced ease. Nanbuko's soldiers move in, but Hiro dispatches them effortlessly. Infuriated, the girl unleashes her lightning magic at Hiro, who deftly evades her attacks. Just as the situation escalates, a sturdy stranger appears, rescuing Hiro from harm. Seizing the moment, the girl grasps the Grand Troa, only for Hiro to boldly claim it as his father's possession, sending a ripple of concern through Nanbuko. In a desperate move, the girl channels the Grand Troa's magic, unleashing a powerful blast toward Hiro. With quick reflexes, Hiro manages to deflect the attack, but not before the girl is caught in the blast. The force propels her towards the mountain, causing a massive explosion that shatters its peak. As the dust settles, both the seal on Dagonzot and the emblem on Hiro's chest illuminate. Blinded by his thirst for revenge, Hiro unleashes a flurry of attacks against the colossal dragon. But to no avail, his efforts are effortlessly thwarted. Just as hope seems lost, Juru swoops in to aid his friend. The soldiers, realizing their futile attempts against Dagonzot, redirect their arrows towards Hiro and Juru in desperation. However, before the arrows can find their mark, the legendary dragon unexpectedly shields the duo, surprising everyone with its protective gesture. In a fit of rage, Dagonzot unleashes its fury upon the city, laying waste to everything in its path before vanishing into the shadows. While the man beside Nanbuko seethes with anger, Nanbuko wears a satisfied smirk, reveling in the fear he has instilled. He delights in the realization that people now clamor for his protection in the wake of such terror. The scene then shifts to the thieves' hideout, where Hiro lies unconscious. Juru recounts the events of 10 years past, when Hiro's parents attempted to seal Dagonzot. Buffer Zone, the chosen site, was strategically located at the heart of 3 powerful kingdoms. Hiro's mother, Kismaitid, sacrificed her soul to lure out the dragon, while Lord Barrow wielded his sealing treasure, and Hiro aided with the sacred mirror. Together with 100 elite mages, they commenced the sealing ritual, but tragically, their efforts were in vain. Despite Juru's intervention to save Hiro, his parents and all the magicians fell victim to the engulfing black flames of Dagonzot. As Hiro regains consciousness, he immediately searches for the dragon, driven by a relentless desire for vengeance. Juru attempts to calm him, revealing that he has been training Hiro for the past decade and has taken him under his wing. Meanwhile, Tomet underestimates Hiro's newfound strength, but Hiro's resolve remains unshaken. He queries Tomet about Nanbuko's whereabouts, but Tomet brushes off the inquiry. He describes Nambuko as a nefarious arms dealer who causes conflict between kingdoms for personal gain, manipulating markets and bankrupting merchants with his trade in magic stones. Determined to reclaim the Grand Troa, Hiro sets his sights on finding Nambuko. The scene shifts to Sharisharu. Distraught over Nambuko's departure and seeking solace, she turns to a magical mirror, connecting her to Nambuko's carriage via video call. She confronts Nambuko for abandoning her in the city, but he remains unconcerned, instructing her to locate Hiro. As hunger grows in Hiro's stomach, he desires for a lavish meal, but Palupa tells him to stay within his limits as they only have limited funds and he refuses to spend it on an extravagant restaurant. Their argument catches the attention of the restaurant owner, who harbors resentment towards them for causing a scene earlier against Nambuko. Suddenly, a cat-eared girl named Erin intervenes, inviting them to join her for brunch. They follow her to a nearby restaurant, where they sit down to eat together. Erin, intrigued by the earlier commotion in the city square, deduces Hiro's identity as Lord Barrow's son, leaving Hiro and the others on edge. Abruptly, Erin takes her leave, leaving them puzzled, especially Palupa because the poor guy was expecting her to pay for their food. Later that night, Hiro and his companions take refuge in the thieves' base, much to Tomit's annoyance. The other kids, however, now see Hiro as their savior and defend his presence. Reluctantly, Tomit agrees and allows them to stay, only to find himself arguing with Hiro over sleeping arrangements. The next day, Tomit asks Hiro about their plans and the freeloader remains steadfast in his goal to find Nambuko and retrieve the Grand Troa. Juru, however, refuses to become a bootlicker and warns Hiro of his perceived weaknesses, urging him to tread carefully in his pursuit. He is low-key calling him a crappy swordsman with big talks and no skill at all. Juru proposes that the others remain at the base temporarily while Hiro hones his skills. Though Tomit opposes the idea, Hiro assures him that Juru will take care of them and even cook for them. Reluctantly, the kids agree, and soon after, Hiro and Juru venture into the desert. In the vast expanse of the desert, Juru suggests that Hiro train at level 1 by battling simple and weak slimes. However, seemingly straightforward, Hiro struggles to even cut them in half, let alone damage them, showcasing his poor skills. Just as frustration mounts, a sand dragon emerges from the dunes, catching them off guard. Despite the fearful presence of the sand dragon, Hiro, desperate for attention, attempts to strike it, but his efforts fall short as always. Suddenly, a slender girl emerges from the dragon's mouth with a peculiar appearance. To their surprise, she approaches Hiro and lays her head on his chest, displaying an unusual level of familiarity. Furthermore, she boldly expresses her desire to accompany him on his journey, something he never would have even imagined. Palupa's panic is palpable as the strange girl, Serato, makes her introduction, while Hiro appears visibly flustered. Before they can fully process the situation, Juru launches an attack on Serato, only to be restrained by Hiro's intervention. Serato's odd behavior continues as she busies herself plucking something from the desert floor, while the others seize the opportunity to flee back to their base where Hiro takes charge and prepares a meal for them. Later, lost in thought, Hiro finds himself contemplating Serato's unusual presence. Tomit teasingly suggests that he's a desperate single guy who must be smitten with her, prompting an irritated response from Hiro. Despite his annoyance, Hiro can't shake the feeling of concern for Serato's apparent loneliness. Tomit offers some perspective, reminding him that they, too, are alone without their parents, offering condolences for Hiro's loss, even if it happened long ago. Meanwhile, in the city, Sharisharu and her soldiers continue their search for Hiro, combing every corner without success. Suddenly, to their surprise, Serato appears before them, adding another layer of mystery to an already perplexing situation. The scene changes to a floating palace situated in a land where hopes go to die. Inside, Nambuko, the mastermind behind many sinister dealings, reviews trading reports and instructs Dr. Baharapa to prepare weapons for an impending war in his laboratory. Despite the pressing matters at hand, Dr. Baharapa, for some unknown reason, expresses concern for Serato's well-being. That night, Serato mysteriously appears within the thieves' base, catching everyone off guard. Tomit experiences an average moment in the life of a Chad when he is captivated by her beauty at first, however. He quickly grows irritated by her whimsical behavior. She further adds flavor to her unusual behavior by warning Hiro that she will track him down no matter where he goes, which to be honest sounds very kinky to me. Tomit then taunts Hiro, suggesting that his quest to slay Dagon Zod is now indefinitely postponed since he has found a new love interest. The tension between Hiro and Tomet escalates into a heated argument until Serato intervenes, finally showcasing some sanity by pulling Hiro aside to defuse the situation. The following day, Juru and Palupa head to the market for some shopping but find themselves nearly out of funds. Meanwhile, Hiro ventures into the desert accompanied by Serato. Attempting to improve his combat skills, Hiro faces off against the slimes once more but struggles yet again. Suddenly, a wolf descends upon them, launching an attack. In a desperate attempt to impress Serato, Hiro bravely engages the wolf in battle but is swiftly overpowered and collapses. As the wolf turns its attention towards Serato, Hiro summons the last of his strength to defend her. To his surprise, Serato remains composed, and the wolf inexplicably collapses beside him. Serato, being a weirdo as always, reveals that she had merely fallen asleep before the wolf's attack. Upon noticing the wound on Hiro's shoulder, she effortlessly heals it with her magic, leaving him surprised. Later, Hiro manages to sell the wolf for a golden coin, though he grumbles about the meager earnings. His mood shifts when he witnesses a man being dragged by soldiers, destined for forced labor in a magic stone mine. Unable to tolerate such injustice, he implores Serato to wait as he intervenes. Confronting the soldiers, Hiro demands they spare the man, but his efforts are met with violence as he is swiftly overwhelmed and beaten by the soldiers. After being captured, Hiro finds himself imprisoned alongside the man he tried to save. The man reveals the grim truth that those sent to the mines never return, prompting Hiro to devise an escape plan using his fake badge, much to the man's dismay. Meanwhile, Sharisharu grows frantic as her magic mirror fails to function. Learning of Hiro's capture and subsequent imprisonment in the palace, she immediately sets out to intervene. On the other hand, in a dimly lit alley, Tomet searches for a way to locate Hiro, only to be unexpectedly followed by Serato. As tensions rise, her presence adds an unexpected twist to Tomet's problematic situation. In the palace, the lord of the city erupts in anger when Nambuko interferes with his affairs. Upon discovering his ledger missing from its hiding place, the lord realizes Tomet's scheme. Threatened by his ultimatum to expose his misdeeds, the lord faces a dilemma. Later, Tomet and Serato find themselves ambushed by the royal guards. Fortunately, Juru and Palupa arrive just in time to retrieve the ledger, enabling them to secure Hiro's release and that of the other prisoners. The following day, Hiro attempts to dismiss Serato, urging her to leave him to his training. However, Serato persists in following him and Hiro can't stand her weirdness anymore, especially during his so-called training. In an attempt to provide for her, Hiro offers her a golden coin to purchase food. Meanwhile, Serato encounters Eren, who extends an invitation to a particular location. As Hiro trains, he grows frustrated with the repetitive task of battling slimes and implores Juru to depart, only to be met with an insulting refusal. On the other hand, Serato accompanies Eren to a hot spring, where Eren reveals rumors of its healing properties. However, she clarifies that while the water can heal wounds, it cannot resurrect the dead. Across the lake, Sharisharu observes their interaction, catching Eren's attention. Elsewhere, Tomet and Palupa stumble upon a flyer advertising a quest offering a reward of 300 golden coins for capturing a monster. Confident in their abilities with Juru by their side, they head to the training ground, only to be taken aback by the sight of Juru and Hiro locked in combat. Juru delivers a blunt reality check, stating that Hiro's reliance solely on the Grand Troll won't be sufficient to defeat Dagon Zot. He emphasizes the necessity of mastering multiple skills, reminding Hiro of the failure of 100 mages to seal the dragon. Hiro's frustration boils over at Juru's words, leading to a physical confrontation where Hiro strikes out in anger, only to be swiftly rebuffed by Juru's unyielding defense. Palupa and Tomet rush to Hiro's side to check on him, while Juru announces his intention to take Hiro to the healing springs for treatment. Along the way, Nambuko's guards observe their group as they make their way to the healing springs. As Hiro experiences the miraculous healing powers of the springs, he is taken aback by their potency. Meanwhile, Sharisharu detects Hiro's presence and issues a command. Juru tells Hiro that their journey encompasses more than just training. There are many tasks ahead and Hiro must demonstrate unwavering determination to succeed. As Sharisharu signals, soldiers awaken the giant octopus, unleashing chaos as it rampages through the area, capturing Serato in its path. Eren swiftly departs, leaving the scene behind as the monster wreaks havoc, attacking everyone in its vicinity, even Sharisharu herself. In a bold move, Juru charges forward and defeats the monster, saving the day. Meanwhile, Hiro searches for Serato and finds her by the lake. Sensing their moment together, Palupa and Tomet discreetly give them privacy, turning their attention elsewhere. With the monster subdued, they bring it to town, only to discover that the initial announcement was a ruse orchestrated by Sharisharu to capture Hiro. Undeterred, they hatch a plan to sell the monster to wealthy buyers, hoping to fund Hiro's quest for armor. However, the armor he desires proves too costly, forcing them to settle for cheaper chainmails instead. The following morning, Hiro bids farewell to the kids, ready to embark on his journey. Tomet surprises everyone by expressing his intent to join the party, despite protests from his friends. Determined to acquire the Grand Troa, Hiro promises to return and sets off with newfound resolve. On their journey, they encounter Eren, who reveals that Sharisharu was behind the monster incident the day before. She expresses her desire to join their party and offers a map revealing Nanbuko's whereabouts in the land where wishes perish. However, she is a greedy woman and explains that she will only disclose this information if she is allowed to join them. Hiro is a perverted cheapskate and he readily agrees, because what is better than having more than one ally in his group, especially beautiful female ones? As Hiro and his companions press forward, they encounter a formidable obstacle in the form of a massive bird. With Tomet, Eren, Serato, and Palupa taking cover behind a stone, Hiro attempts to strike at the bird but finds himself in peril, only to be rescued by Jiru's timely intervention. Recognizing the danger, Jiru suggests they spend the night in the nearby forest to avoid further attacks from the bird. That evening, as they gather around a fire, Serato is notably absent, having gone to fetch water. Seizing the opportunity for a private moment, Hiro volunteers to search for her and finds her by the stream. Meanwhile, in the palace, Nanbuko showcases his weaponry to potential clients, including his latest creation. Satisfied with the demonstration, the clients purchase the weapon with crystals. Unbeknownst to Nanbuko, Sharisharu witnesses the transaction through her magic mirror, but her mood quickly sours when she learns of the bird attack on Hiro and his companions. Nanbuko reveals the existence of the massive bird, known as Hawkeye, leaving Sharisharu in a state of distress. She tries to bribe him with her cuteness, but he strictly orders her to find Hiro, and threatens that if she fails, he will disown her. Meanwhile, as Hiro and his party press forward, Hawkeye returns to shadow them from above as they arrive in the salt field. Suddenly, Sharisharu and her soldiers emerge, launching a surprise ambush on Hiro and his companions. They revive 3 towering golems, unleashing them upon the group. Jiru prepares to confront the golems in battle, while Hiro, driven by a sudden impulse, rushes towards Sharisharu in a state of frenzy. However, his reckless move proves disastrous as Sharisharu retaliates with her lightning magic, causing Hiro to collapse instantly. Undeterred by Hiro's plight, Jiru charges forward, engaging the soldiers and golems with remarkable skill and agility. Despite his efforts, Hiro finds himself unable to retaliate effectively, and his sword is ultimately torn to pieces by Sharisharu's relentless assault. In a desperate move, Palupa invokes his magic and summons Mumu, a rabbit-like girl known for her openness to bribery. Mumu emerges from a magical chest, and in a sudden turn of events, Palupa tosses both Serato and Tomet into the chest, much to Tomet's concern for the others. Meanwhile, Hiro finds himself cornered by Sharisharu's relentless assault, with Jiru coming to his aid. As the battle intensifies, the earth trembles under the force of their clashes, and Jiru becomes ensnared by Sharisharu's powerful magic. In a cruel twist, Sharisharu threatens to kill Jiru if Hiro does not comply. Fueled by rage and desperation, Hiro's emotions boil over, causing him to undergo a monstrous transformation. With uncontrollable power at his disposal, he unleashes a devastating attack, wiping out the soldiers and striking fear into Sharisharu's heart. However, in the midst of his rampage, his strength diminishes, his mind confuses, and he collapses, losing consciousness. As Hiro regains consciousness, he finds himself confronted by Nanbuko and his subordinates, but his weakened state leaves him disoriented and unsure of his surroundings. Recollections of a strange vision during his unconsciousness flicker in his mind. Meanwhile, Mumu and the magical chest reappear, with Serato setting out to search for Hiro while Palupa reluctantly parts with a hefty sum to fulfill Mumu's demands. Elsewhere, Nanbuko meets with his buyer, an individual adorned in lavish attire, eager to inspect Nanbuko's offerings. In the background, a green orc is bound to a cross while 3 men are shackled nearby. Unbeknownst to them, the doctor is in the midst of preparing his invention when a sudden burst of red light envelops the orc and the men. To their astonishment, the individuals merge into a monstrous entity, prompting a sense of praise from the woman witnessing Nanbuko's success in combining humans and an orc. As Hiro secretly observes the scene, the doctor expresses his disappointment at the miscalculation, expecting the monster to be stronger. Suddenly, Hiro emerges from the shadows, confronting Nanbuko and challenging him to a duel. With both parties prepared for combat, Hiro realizes he no longer possesses his sword. Undeterred, Hiro engages Nanbuko in hand-to-hand combat, but his efforts prove futile as he is swiftly overpowered. Despite his defeat, Hiro demands the return of Grand Troa, only to be met with Nanbuko's assertion that the artifact rightfully belongs to him. As Hiro is captured by the soldiers, Nanbuko informs him that he is being invited to a special gathering. Meanwhile, Juru ponders over Hiro's mysterious ability to destroy their enemies, and Eren suddenly appears, much to Palupa's annoyance. Afterwards, Juru, Tomet, and Serato are escorted to a luxurious tent, leaving Eren and Palupa behind. Meanwhile, outside the tent, Nanbuko attends to his buyer, who is preparing a lavish feast. Sharisharu rushes to Nanbuko to apologize for her failure to capture Hiro, but to her surprise, Nanbuko commends Hiro's strength and rewards Sharisharu and her men with a bag of money. Overwhelmed with joy, Sharisharu embraces Nanbuko in gratitude. Back at the trial grounds, Juru and the others observe the half-human orc, leading Juru to suspect Nanbuko's involvement in the creature's creation. In the tent, Hiro finds himself bound to a chair as Nanbuko enters, displaying torturous implements with the intention of extracting Hiro's secrets through pain. Curiosity piqued, Nanbuko asks Hiro about his connection to Dagon Zot, the malevolent dragon. In response, Hiro questions why a mere merchant like Nanbuko would be interested in such an evil entity. Nanbuko reveals his rationale, explaining that the chaos wrought by Dagon Zot's actions will create a demand for weapons across many countries, thereby increasing his profits. Before Nanbuko can commence his interrogation, a disturbance erupts outside the tent. His buyer, furious by being addressed disrespectfully, causes a scene. Seizing the opportunity, Hiro capitalizes on the distraction, managing to free his leg and retrieve his badge. With nimble fingers, he uses the badge to cut the ropes binding his hands, setting himself free. Meanwhile, the doctor carefully tinkers with his latest invention, but his sensors detect Serato's presence nearby. Puzzled, he sets out to investigate her whereabouts. Inside the tent, Hiro manages to free his hand from the rope, though he stumbles as his left hand remains bound. Suddenly, the doctor enters the tent, carrying his sensor, and is taken aback by Hiro's scent reminding him of Serato. He inquires about Serato's location, unaware that Hiro is secretly cutting the rope on his arm. Outside the tent, Sharisharu and the soldiers revel in a party celebrating Nanbuko's supposed benevolence. Meanwhile, the doctor remains skeptical of Serato's supposed interest in Hiro's heartbeat. Eventually, Hiro frees his arm and seizes the opportunity to confront the doctor. Despite the doctor's persistent ramblings about Serato and Hiro's connection, Hiro realizes Serato's fate is intertwined with his own. The doctor, acknowledging this bond, implores Hiro to care for Serato. However, Hiro expresses doubt, fearing he cannot fulfill this promise amidst Nanbuko's torture. In a surprising turn, the doctor offers Hiro poison, suggesting it as a means to reunite with Serato beyond the confines of their current difficulty. At first, the young boy hesitates, grappling with the gravity of his decision before finally consuming the poison. Outside the tent, Juru and the others observe as Hiro falls from above, prompting Juru to urge a swift departure without diving into inquiries. Inside the tent, Nanbuko boils with fury towards the professor, who defiantly challenges Nanbuko to end his life. However, Nanbuko acknowledges the doctor's value despite their confrontation, recognizing the necessity of the doctor's skills. Unconcerned, the doctor remains steadfast as his resolve is fueled by the desire to protect Hiro for Serato's sake. Nanbuko, intrigued, questions whether Hiro is aware of Serato's true identity. Nevertheless, he discloses that he will get rid of Serato as soon as possible, and this news causes tears in the doctor's eyes. The scene changes to an old mine, where Eren reveals that extensive mining operations are underway to procure magic stones. Serato approaches Hiro and detects the distinctive scent of Dr. Baharapa. Meanwhile, Juru tries to comprehend the doctor's cryptic remarks regarding Hiro's heart, which appears to be distinct from his own and potentially linked to Dagon Zot. Juru hypothesizes that a heart swap may have occurred between Hiro and Dagon Zot, explaining the irregularity in Hiro's heartbeat. This theory suggests that Hiro's father, driven by despair, may have orchestrated the exchange, perhaps in a bid to unleash hidden powers within Hiro. These powers manifest when Hiro experiences intense emotions like anger and despair, causing him to temporarily transform into a monstrous entity. While Juru remains cautious about the theory, it resonates with the events they've witnessed during their travels. Hiro speculates that if he were to perish, Dagon Zot might meet the same fate. Driven by a deep-seated desire to avenge his parents' tragic demise, Hiro resolves to confront his mortality head-on. In a cathartic outburst, he unleashes his pent-up fury and storms outside. Juru and Palupa trail behind him, but Erin's attempt to accompany them is intercepted by Tomet, who deems the matter too personal for her involvement. Meanwhile, in the palace, Sharisharu revels in the gift bestowed upon her by Nanbuko. However, her restlessness causes her to dispatch her winged eyes to secretly monitor Hiro's movements. As Hiro reaches a desolate village, Juru is struck by a sudden recollection, leaving him visibly stunned. Tomet remarks on the eerie atmosphere of the village, prompting Juru to affirm his suspicions and urge the others to survey the damage before making any decisions about staying. While exploring the village, Juru